Welcome back to the Outsourcing and Scaling Show. My guest today is Austin Netzley. Austin, how are you doing today?
Doing excellent, Nathan. Pumped to be here, man. It was great to meet a while back, and let's talk about some good business stuff today.
Yeah, we met at Traffic and Conversion. Ever since then, I've been following you, following your group. I know you have a lot of great content helping people scale their business, which is what we're all about. For those of you that haven't met Austin, he's the founder and CEO of 2X, a company specializing in helping 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs more than double their business in just 90 days by focusing on creating systematic and scalable businesses. Austin is a former collegiate athlete and a best-selling author of Make Money, Live Wealthy, which has been downloaded and sold over 60,000 times. His previous business includes an investing company where he created his own day-to-day trading algorithm and automated it, as well as a book marketing company, Epic Launch, that moved over 1.7 million books in less than 2 years for entrepreneurs all over the world. He's been featured on many of the world's largest business websites, such as Entrepreneur, Inc., Yahoo, Business Insider, ABC, NBC, and the Washington Post. Austin, I am pumped to talk about you. We're going to talk all about scaling businesses, but first, let's take a gigantic step back. What were you like growing up? Were you a rebel? Were you a straight A student? Did you know you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
I was not a rebel by any stretch of the imagination. I started to get a little rebel streak in college, but growing up, I had no idea what entrepreneurship even was. Knew literally zero entrepreneurs within my family and our family connections and everybody. So I really didn't know anything about entrepreneurship until I was like 24. I was in the corporate world, which is the only thing that I knew. I followed the footsteps of my dad and was an engineer. So I wanted to be the CEO of a large corporation, just figured I'd go to college, go and work for a big company, work my way up, and after 25 years, start to be an executive. Got a couple years into that path, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm in a trap. I'm in a system here. And started to learn about entrepreneurship. My boss at the time gave me 3 books. None of them were actually related to entrepreneurship, but this was my first assignment in sales. He was like, go take these 3 books and go read them on the beach. Because he wanted to like ease me into sales. And they take, I was in a management development program. So they take engineers like me, put us out into the sales field. And he's like, hey, here's these 3 books, go and just do these. This will keep you busy for a little bit. And I'm like, no, I want to hit the ground running. So finally I relented. I was like, wait, this is amazing. What am I doing? Why am I pushing back on this? This is awesome. And I went and read those 3 books, and that just opened up the world of reading to me. And then I started going to the library and just reading every entrepreneurship book. And then I was like, oh, wow, this is this whole new world that I didn't know about. So introvert engineer turned entrepreneur. Now I've had 5 businesses, but the one that I'm in now is something I'm really excited about.
Yeah. So what is it about an entrepreneur that holds them back? Because I know you're all about doubling businesses. It usually means that there's some kind of a flaw in the business or the entrepreneur isn't focused on the right thing. What do you see?
People are really, really focused on the wrong stuff. They're working their butts off on stuff that doesn't matter. And what so many entrepreneurs that we work with actually create is not a real business. It's a self-employed job, something that's really built around them. And that's great to get to that first level of success. But people start in business to have freedom. They start in business to make a lot of money, to have that unlimited upside, to really grow consistently, to be able to make an impact. Yet so few entrepreneurs actually get any of those things, let alone all of them. So what we've got to do first and foremost is take things from, instead of being a self-employed job, that's really what you created for yourself, to something that's a real business, something where you've got a team, you've got the numbers in place, you've got systems and operational structures so that you can actually scale and really actually get what you really want out of business. So that's where we start, is making sure, do we have a business model that can actually grow? And it's crazy how rare that is.
What are the systems that you focus on?
Everything in the business can be systemized. Everything from how you pay your team, to different financials, to your marketing strategies, to your sales strategies, to updating your website. Every single thing needs to be a system, and that's how you build a machine. And that's what you really want. So you've got something that's repeatable, scalable, and consistent. So every single thing, A to Z, you've got to create, from our experience, you've really got to create a culture of systems. So we've got hundreds, if not even thousands of systems. And systems come in the form of checklists. They're SOPs, which are standing operating procedures. Maybe they're templates. Maybe they're video processes. There's so many different forms of systems, or it can be a collection of those things. For instance, we've got a hiring system, how to hire amazing people, where there's like 70 steps in this thing, but it makes it really easy for us to go through step by step to hire amazing quality people. Now, we could make that shorter by going to Free Up and using your services, but we've got systems for everything that we do. Because here, I'll reiterate, we're already doing all the work, just like everybody listening to this is already doing all the work. We just got to turn it into great systems so that we can do it faster and easier and better the next time.
Can you talk about SOPs? Because that's a question I get asked a lot. And I know I have my own philosophies on what a good SOP looks like. How do you create them? What tips do you have for the listeners in creating a really solid SOP?
Yeah. So what you need is an SOP on how to create a great SOP. So you need a template, you need a system and training to how to do that. You need some examples. So what our typical SOP structure will look like is at the top, we define, well, first of all, we define the basic stuff. When was this last updated? Who's the owner of it? And is it, like, what's the status of it? Is it live? Is it in draft mode? Is it something else? So we just got to have those basics. Then we have, what's the overview of this? Like, one line, what is this process used for? Then we have a video that explains this. Loom is the single best tool in the world nowadays to create processes, because what we do is, like, for instance, I don't create step-by-steps anymore, but what I'll do is I'll create a video that goes through this. We'll have a VA take that and turn it into a step-by-step. So what we've got, jumping around a little bit, we've got a description, we've got a video that explains it. Then below that, we've got a step-by-step of every single step that needs to happen with screenshots. Then we've got templates and examples. And then we've got other additional notes or resources. And voila, now we've got something that's literally step-by-step. Look at McDonald's. McDonald's can hire anybody off the street, or they can hire an MBA, and they're going to make the same exact Big Mac, right? Same exact quality, right? Because they've got amazing step-by-step systems in place. So SOPs are one great form of that.
I love it. And we're going to talk about hiring, but I want your take on what should a CEO actually be doing? I saw that you have a CEO checklist. A lot of people, they say, oh, I'm a CEO, but like you said, they're really just doing the day-to-day operations of the business. What should a CEO be doing?
A CEO should be focused on the vision, the strategic vision of the company. Like, where are you going? We've got a 2X formula, 10 elements that we use to help double 6- and 7-figure businesses. And the first step is to understand, where the heck are we going? And you don't get in the car until you know exactly where you're going, right? But so many people are driving their business, working their butts off, 40, 50, 60, 70-hour weeks. Even one of our clients started working 90-hour weeks, and she had family at home. But there's no goals. There's no destination. There's no real end vision. So what we've got to do is get clear on what the heck the vision actually is, because then we've got to reverse engineer and create the business that's going to get us there as fast as possible. So that's where we start. What was the question, Nathan? I went on a tangent there.
What should a CEO be doing?
Oh, so vision, strategic vision. Where are you taking the company? Everybody needs to know that, because if they don't see that and feel that, then they're just going to be like doing the task in front of them instead of solving the things on how to help get the company there. So strategic vision. Number 2 is really building out a world-class team. All right, set the vision, find a world-class team, and then set them up to succeed and get out of their way. That's what we've got to do. But also, as CEO, especially for small business owners, you're responsible for growth. So you've got to, even if you're not necessarily fully in charge of marketing, you're not fully in charge of sales, you are still responsible. And you need to oversee those functions to really drive growth. So those things, and then usually there's something else that you like doing that we add, but what you want is 5 responsibilities max. For me, I love creating content. Is it the highest leverage, best thing that I can do? Maybe, maybe not, but I'm going to do it regardless. And we're in business to do what we want. So I'm going to do it. And that's on my checklist as well. So strategic vision, stuff related to the team, stuff related to growth, stuff related to something that you want to do. But what you don't want to do is just get stuck in the day-to-day only. That's not a real business owner.
Can you talk a little bit about what a good vision looks like? I think when people think vision, they think of like Apple and Amazon, but something more realistic for a 6-7-figure business owner.
A great vision is something that basically paints the picture of where you're going to be 3 years from now. There's a great process called the Vivid Vision process from Cameron Herold. He was the COO of 1-800-GOT-JUNK to help them explode. But basically what you want to do is explain in really good detail in 3 to 5 pages, where are you going to be in 3 years? And if you can do that and paint that picture, and what it looks like, what it feels, what you're working on, what revenue numbers you're at, and communicate that with your team and with your partners and even with your clients, you're going to start to attract the resources that you need to help make that happen. So you want to have clarity on what the business looks like. And most people, it's just like too general, like, oh, I'm going to make $1 million or whatever. No, like we want specifics. What does it feel like to be there? We have ours in probably like a 5-page document, but it's like all branded and there's nice pictures and pictures of our events and everything. And if you read it, you get fired up and you can feel it. And part of the second thing that's in there is core values. Like, what are the core values? What's the culture of your company? Because that's really what you're trying to create with this, is like a really good culture that's helping you get there. But a 3 to 5 page document, get it nice and branded, spend some good time on this. Most entrepreneurs, business owners, just way too busy to spend their time on culture and vision and some of the stuff. We're always fighting fires or just trying to make some money right short term. But long term, it's one of the most important strategic plays that you can do is build the vision, build the culture that really sets your company up to succeed.
Austin, what do you look for when you're hiring people?
Number one is A2FSO. Well, actually, number one is, do they fit our core values? Number two is something I call A2FSO. It's ability to figure stuff out. Typically, we use another word for S, but ability to figure stuff out. Can they problem solve? Because if we can give somebody 70% of the information or even 20% of the information and just trust that they're going to be able to run and do it, as a small, lean business, we've only got 20 something people on our team. We can move really, really fast. So that's number one, is A2FSO. Do they have the stuff to figure stuff out? But again, it's not number one because core values, but that's like a given for us. That's why I keep saying it's number one. They have to fit your culture. They have to get your core values. What you want to be able to do is hire, fire, and lead based on your core values alone. If you can't do that, you don't have the right core values. If somebody comes into one of our meetings and then they look at our core values, they're like, oh yeah, those are right. And that's what you want. That's what you want. And it sets up, again, that culture that's going to then fuel itself.
As a CEO, how are you communicating with your team? Is it something you're setting it up once a week, once a day, once a month, because you want to let them roll, you want to get out of their way? What does that look like from a communication side?
Yeah, great question. Right now, we do a deep dive, weekly planning on Mondays. And then if it's like the turn of a month or quarter, we do even more. But we do deep department team and a full team meeting on Monday. So my first half of my Mondays is just team stuff, planning the week, team meetings, yada, yada. So everybody's really clear for the full week ahead. And then what we do is we have a 10 to 15 minute daily huddle every single day with the core teams. So we've got the core internal team, then we've got the sales and marketing team. We only communicate with our coaches 1 time per week on Mondays. And then we've got our higher end program as well that I'm on a couple meetings, but I'm pretty much removed from that one. And then 45 days from now, I won't be on the daily meetings. I'll just be doing the leadership meetings, obviously the strategy meetings, and the weekly meeting, and then everything else I won't be a part of. But daily huddles are absolutely essential to have that good communication, that good pulse. And then we use Slack internally for communication as well.
What kind of number should a CEO know for their business?
Great question. And most entrepreneurs are just looking at revenue, if they even know revenue.
Right.
That's a lagging. There's so many things that have to happen to get there. So what we want to focus on instead is the stuff that's going to drive us to those results, called leading indicators. And those are things that are dependent by business. For instance, for us, we're looking for how many qualified leads do we have in any given week? How many sales calls do we have scheduled? We're looking at pipeline dollar value. What's the total combined pipeline or dollar value from our pipeline? We're also looking at simple things such as sales conversions. But what we want to do is simplify things down to a few key numbers. Those few key numbers are: what does it cost to acquire a customer? What is a customer worth? LTV, lifetime value. If we can understand those two numbers, we can really start to crank things up. For instance, if we know it takes us $500 to acquire a customer, but we know on the back end this customer is worth $2,000, we'd make that trade all day long, right? But most people don't know their numbers well enough that they can make the proper investments and decisions. But if you can get to the point where you've got an ATM machine as far as your business, where you know those two numbers, we're going to scale all day long. And obviously, there's a law of diminishing returns, as maybe those numbers will reduce as you start to scale up, but let's take it one step at a time. But you really got to know your numbers inside and out, and you've got to know them for each step of the business, not just the ending one. But I get a text every single day, Nathan, with my bank account as well. So you got to know what's going on with the cash situation. Really, really important. And most people aren't doing that.
And how much of those numbers are you sharing with the people on your team, whether it's the team leaders, the virtual assistants, the freelancers? Are you sharing all of them, some of them?
Great. Yeah. So we separate them into KPIs and cash. Cash is just me and the other core leaders of the team and one VA. The KPIs, everybody on the team sees. So everybody on the team can see in our value chain, in our business, step by step, where's the bottleneck? Where's the issue? Because if we know the issue is on one part, it's not a culture of pointing fingers. It's a culture of, hey, let's support this team to help fix this. We're in it together. And it's just a beautiful situation where everybody knows what's going on. And we have the accountability for every department to drive results and every person. So we really want the KPIs to be known throughout the team.
And what's your mentality for managing people or handling people that aren't doing what you want? Maybe they started off well, or somehow they're trailing off with your core values. They're not performing well. How do you go about handling that on a case-by-case basis?
You have to have the regular check-ins in place. For core team, you want every 2 weeks an update on how are they doing on their numbers, how are they doing on their roles, and how are they doing on the core values, because you want to get well ahead of any issues with that. You also want to get well ahead of what do they want? Are they looking at other companies? And most people are not having that deep talk. It's like a kind of a one-way thing of hey, do these tasks. No, you want to understand what's their vision. What do they want to accomplish? Because to have amazing people, you want to figure out what's their vision. You want to know what the company's vision is, and you want to share how those things cross and how your situation, your company is going to help them get there to their vision. Really important conversation to have. At least have one-on-one every single month, if not every 2 weeks.
Is there any story that stands out that you can share with us about how one of your clients might have been having some success, but they didn't have those systems and process in place, and what systems you were able to put in place and where they're at now?
Man, there's so many to be able to share, but I'll share one that I shared yesterday in our Facebook community, which is a story of a woman named Elizabeth Benton. She has a great business. She had a great product, multi-six-figure business, very high cash flow, but she didn't have any team in place. She didn't have any systems. She was doing well, really well in the eyes of most people, but there was a whole other level. So she went from $30,000 per month up to, in 90 days, above $84,000 a month recurring by focusing on a couple of things. Number one is we started to charge the actual value that she was giving out there. And that made such a big, profound impact. We started to systemize every key step of her business to get her out of the weeds. That allowed us to then be able to hire her first person. Even 20 hours a week made a life-changing impact to have her get out of the weeds and stop focusing on the admin stuff. And those three things really helped catapult her to the next level. Sure, we focused more on some marketing strategies and some growth stuff, but none of that comes into place if we don't do the first couple things right. So we had a better business model. And when we're talking about business model, we're looking at, are we selling the right stuff to the right people at the right price? And we figured price was wrong there, and it was. And we started to sell it at a new price, and it was still converted at an even better rate. So get out of the weeds, start to scale, and stop doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing. That's the basics of what really worked here. She went from 30,000 up to above 84,000.
I love it. You mentioned marketing. What does automating or what does creating a marketing process look like, or a marketing system?
Yeah, so it's really dependent on every single type of business, what the best systems are, but anything from a marketing standpoint should be a really, really dialed in system. So a full system for us on the marketing side specifically means, do we have the proper owner in place so that we know, okay, for Facebook ads, lead gen, that Nathan owns it or whoever. And we just put a name beside it. We put some metrics in place. All right, what are the top 5 metrics that we need to track to say, hey, we're either doing well in this area or not? We need to have the proper systems in place so that it's repeatable. And we need not only the numbers to be defined, but we need them tracking ongoing so that we're giving regular updates, regular reports to be able to optimize. And so few people are actually getting to the point of optimization. They're just creating like these different campaigns. It's always starting from scratch basically, when we want systems in place that are repeatable, that if you do a marketing campaign and it works, you're going to be using that thing for the next hopefully 2 years, not in just like 20 days or something. It really or you have to go back to your business and identify what are those top traction channels. You don't need 17 different marketing channels. Most businesses that we work with, we're really focusing on 3 to 5 max. I can't think of any situation where we focused on more than 5, but what you want to do is build one out one at a time, optimize it, make sure that's ROI positive, make sure that's a system that's repeatable, and go. But we start so oftentimes with organic strategies because so many people are just focused just on customer acquisition and more leads. I just need more leads. I just need more leads. When in fact, if we can get 2 or 4 times the value of a customer on the back end, that helps make investing in marketing way, way easier. So we focus on the fulfillment first.
I love it. Austin, this has been great. Is there anything that I missed? Anything that you see a lot of entrepreneurs doing that you think they should be doing it differently?
Lots of things that we could talk about, man. But the first thing that comes to mind is just make things simpler. Business is tough. There's so many things that we could be spending our time on. So what we tried to do and why we've created several different frameworks for entrepreneurs to follow is because we just got to make things simpler. So if we can make things simpler, more focused, and just much more strategic, we're going to set ourselves up for success. Because again, there's 85 million things that you could do, but only a few that you should. If you can get good at understanding what those important and essential things are, you're going to separate yourself. That's the goal. Make a simpler, much stronger business, focused on cash flow and driving growth, and you're going to crush it.
Thanks so much, Austin. Where can people find out more about you, and what are you most excited about for the rest of the year?
You can find us at scale2x.com. That's SCALE, the number 2 letter X.com, scale2x. And I'm really excited we've got a book in the works. So by the time people may be listening to this, I will have the book out. And it's going to be really, really impactful to show people some of the important stuff that we've learned from working with so many entrepreneurs and businesses on how to scale and how to make things simpler, as I said. So really excited about that. You can also find our Facebook community. Just search 2X in Facebook, and you'll probably find us. It's for 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs.
Thanks so much, man. Have a good rest of the day. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Did you enjoy this content? If so, click like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue bringing you great content all about hiring.